Hi everybody. I want to talk about finding inspiration. This is a topic that I like to revisit every once in a while because where I find my inspiration often changes. And sometimes I get stuck in a rut where I'm looking in the same places, but I'm not finding the sort of quality of inspiration that I'm looking for. So today I'm going to cover 3 places that you can find inspiration. And if you've never tried any of these, I'd recommend giving them a go. The first is your own brain. This sounds silly, but bear with me. There are very few things like boredom to get the mind moving. This is an honestly difficult one because I hate being bored. I hate it. I hate it so much. I will do anything I can in order to not be bored. And I really mean anything. I would rather stab myself with a fork repeatedly than be bored. And yet, boredom can be one of the best ways to create ideas. The reason is because our brains are connection machines. And if you sit with a problem long enough, you will come up with lots of ideas. And what's cool is that the longer you do this, the faster you will come up with ideas. And the better your ideas statistically are going to be. And you can actually train yourself so that your period of boredom is really, really short and your brain automatically kicks into idea generation as a way of avoiding that boredom. So what I like to do is when I am struggling with a really serious challenge in one of my books, I like to write down the problem I'm having on a piece of paper, and I like to find somewhere and go and sit. Now, there are a couple of things you have to do. First of all, you got to get rid of the phone. You can't have your phone with you. You got to turn it off, put it in a different room, whatever it is. Just make sure that you don't have it. Second thing is you can't be watching something. You can't be playing a video game. You can't be doing something. Literally, you have to find a chair and just stare out into the world. If that is too distracting for you and you're not finding yourself becoming bored, go and look at a wall. I'm not joking. Just stare at a blank wall. In fact, in my office, I have a little cubby that has blank walls where when I'm working, there's nothing outside of my monitor besides these blank walls. And that allows me to trigger my brain into being like, well, I don't want to be bored, so I'm going to try and problem solve. And then the next thing you need to make this work is probably a timer. Because time is a weird thing and it flows differently depending on what you're doing. And so you might think that you've been sitting there for, 10 minutes, but it's probably only been 60 seconds or a minute. And so getting a timer and setting the timer and just being like, I'm going to sit in this chair until I figure this out, until I have the answer, your brain is going to kick into desperation mode and it's going to start generating all of these ideas. So that's the first place that I like to look for inspiration. The second place I like to look for inspiration is in other kinds of media. So if I'm writing a book, I'll look in other kinds of stories. It could be video games, it could be movies, it could be manga, it could be any number of different things, but I'm going to look outside the book world, right? I'm going to look for cool images. Sometimes I'll just get on Google and I'll type something into Google that has to do with the problem that I'm trying to solve, and I'll just look through the images to see if I can find anything that sparks my imagination. Because the point of this exercise in looking outside of your media is to trigger your inspiration, right? It's to trigger an idea, and then you just want to follow that path as far as you can go. And again, this is the sort of thing where the more time you spend doing this, the better your ideas are probably going to be. Because you're going to be moving past the surface level ideas and you're going to be digging deep into the real heavy, weighty ideas that hide underneath. And then the third way that I really like to get inspiration is just by talking to other people. I really push back against this idea that creators should be sort of these lone bastions of creativity. Absolutely not. I think one of the best things that you can do is you can find other people, like-minded people, who like what you like and can help give you advice on the things that you're trying to do or the problems that you're trying to solve. You don't have to take their advice, but make sure that when you go into the conversation, they understand what they're doing. Brainstorming is just brainstorming. It's just coming up with a lot of ideas. Giving somebody else the agency to make the decision is a different thing. And sometimes when we go to somebody and say, hey, I need an idea for X, Y, or Z, they think we are implicitly giving them permission in order to tell us what to do. That's not what we want. We want to go and say, hey, I'm looking for ideas because of this specific problem I'm having, or I want to brainstorm about this, and I'm going to consider a lot of ideas, and then I'm going to sit on it, and I'm going to think about it, and then I'll make my own decision. And when we do that, people are usually fine to give us as many ideas as we want. And one of the cool things about brainstorming is, again, because our brains are idea machines, we often end up just coming up with really cool ideas or really fun ideas as we bounce back and forth, right? We get deeper and deeper and deeper into that well of creativity. Now, there's another piece to this, though, that I think is also really important, and that is sleep. You can't come up with good ideas if you haven't been getting sleep. And that's because our brain just needs sleep to be creative. This is something that I've struggled with my whole life because I hate sleeping. I hate it. It's almost as bad as being bored, because in a lot of ways, it is like being bored. I hated when I was little going and getting in bed and just laying there, and my brain would be like flying all over the place. And now I hate the fact that I lose 6 to 7 hours of my day is just gone. It just like evaporates, and I hate that. But sleep is so vitally important. In fact, just yesterday, I was in this mental space where I knew I could work, but things just weren't coming quickly. And so rather than just trying to push through, I said, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to go and I'm going to sleep. And when I woke up this morning, man, my brain was clicking. I was ready to go. So, sleep is also really important for generating a lot of ideas. So if you don't sleep a lot, then and you're having trouble writing, maybe that's the solution. Maybe the solution is not that you're a slacker or that you need to work harder or you need more creativity. No, maybe it's just that you need to sleep more so your brain is fresh and you can use it. So anyway, I hope that helps. Let me know down in the comments below, is there a particular way that you break your roadblocks when it comes to having ideas? Is there a place that you go to get inspiration? Let me know, because I'd love to check it out.